Hello, I'm Lisa de Sanqua. In this Tarot Visual Journaling workshop, we're going to be connecting with our ancestor. So I'd like you to really pick one. If you find this exercise useful, then you can continue and work with other ancestors. So by ancestors, I really mean anybody that no longer is living. It could be a friend, a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, perhaps even a distant relative that you never met but you're curious about. We're going to be working with the major arcana to find their birth card and our own birth card. And then we're going to work with the essence of those cards and have a dialogue between us. So there's a little formula written up in the side notes on how you can work out your birth card, but I'll give you a quick overview. You would take your birthday, your birth month, and your birth year, and you would add them up. You would come to a 4-digit number, and then you would add each one of those numbers together, and you want to get to a number 22 or under. So if you have 3 and a 9, 39, you would add those together and get 12, and that would be your birth card. So 22 would represent the Fool. So I am the Sun, and I've decided that I want to work with my father. I want to connect with my father. My father died recently, and even though I love and miss him terribly, I haven't really spent enough time really connecting with him, and I want to see what comes up. And it was very interesting because I found out that he is a moon. I think you can see behind me, I painted this painting when he was dying, and I have a really large moon there, and I actually hadn't worked out his birth card, so it's a bit of synchronicity. And I, as the Sun, there's an interrelationship between the two anyway, both being celestial bodies. The Sun shines on the moon. There's a lot of reflection, mirroring, and I thought that was just interesting just to know that in itself. So there's 2 parts to this Tarot Visual Journaling workshop. The first part is really to set the tone, to really kind of get in the mood of our ancestor. So once you've found a photograph of them, I'd like you to decide if you want to do a collage. Then if you have a box of collage items that I suggest keeping for these workshops, you can look through them and see if there's something that some imagery that relates to who they were, what they like to do, what they like to eat. Just look through them randomly. If you can also paint or draw symbols if you prefer to do that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. This is a creative exercise where you can really experiment, play. So have fun creating this altar to your ancestor. I'll just show you the kind of thing that I did, just to give you some ideas. So my father, I have a photocopy of him here. He's sitting in his tennis clothes. He was a tennis player and had a business making tennis courts. On his lap is one of his beloved pets. He was born in South Africa, so I have some zebra stripes and 2 zebras here, and a beautiful protea flower, which is a national flower of South Africa. He was of French ancestry, so I have this kind of beautiful French upholstery looking paper behind him, kind of forming a frame around him. And he loved birds. There's a bird there. On the altar I have a candle, a glass of wine. You can add as many things as you want. I printed out his name. I have a little card here that I think I'll just write a little message to him. So once you've created this page and spend some time really sort of thinking about who they were and you know, maybe even remembering some memories. I would like you to write. I just wrote right over the paper. I like these Vision Elite pens because they write on glossy magazine paper. But you know, gel pens work pretty well. You know, you have maybe keep a little scrap on the side, and you can test it out. Just kind of write stream of consciousness. It doesn't have to be the perfect language. You know, just remembering maybe who they were, what you loved about them. So that kind of gets you into experiencing them again and feeling some of their essence. And then once you've created that page, I would like you to find a representation of their birth card. So you could either get the card from your favorite deck and make a photocopy of it, or you could create a card. I decided to create a card for my father and myself. So I have a book of borders, and I found a border that was very mysterious and sort of almost ritualistic and just felt like the moon. So I used the border and I printed out the moon, and then I found a picture of the moon amongst spring blossoms and I pasted that down. I also have a moon behind his head there. And then for my sun card, I found a lovely image of these two hands creating a heart shape over the sun. And I found a border that has sun rays. And then you can see I used another part of that image here, but I used a little bit of gesso over it just to knock it back. Gesso is what artists use on canvas. It's kind of a white chalky paint, and I just wiped it on with the paper towel, and then I prepared it so that I can write over it. And here I use some of the same paper that I have behind my father on this page, and again I used that gesso just so that I had a kind of a base to write on. But you know, you can set up the page any way you want. I found that this was not that much space to write in. It worked for me, but you might have a lot more to say, so you can add on paper. You can, you know, tape paper to the side. You could make a little booklet almost by stapling it. You could keep going. You know, this is creative time. So any kind of ideas that you have are perfect. You know, just really play with it. But before you start to work with the birth cards, I would like you to really set up a kind of a reverence space. Maybe even do a small little ritual. So I suggest lighting a candle, spending some time in meditation, just taking some deep breaths and closing your eyes and really coming into the present moment, letting everything go, making sure your phone is turned off, that you won't be interrupted. I'd like you to picture your ancestor as their birth card, and then using your non-dominant hand, I would like you to write out them talking to you as if they are that birth card. So my father is talking as the moon to me. And by using your non-dominant hand, so in my case, I'm right-handed, I use my left hand. It takes a lot of time to actually form those letters, and it's actually accessing the other side of your brain from what you usually use when you're right and you're very quick and decisive. And there's something that happens there that's very magical. It sort of leaves your analytic, know-it-all mind, and it taps into this very creative, fluid, more mystical side. So trust the process. You know, you can write on a separate piece of paper if you want and glue it into your book. And then once you've done your ancestor represented by their birth card talking to you, I want you then to respond and talk to them from the point of view of your birth card. So my father as the moon talked to me, and then I as the sun talked to him. And you form this kind of dialogue between the two of you. You can go back and forth a few times if you want. You can keep adding to it. There's many ways you can add pages. You can tape them onto the side. You can, keep going throughout your journal, different pages. But just let it flow. Just see what comes up. It's actually a very powerful exercise, and it taps into the essence of who we are and who our ancestor was, and communicating from that essence rather than from what we automatically might think. So trust this process, and I wish you well, and I wish you deep connection with your ancestor.